Good morning. Welcome to week 3. I'm going to give some more mindset tips today. So, week 1, I encouraged you to start getting a little bit more mindful about your food and your movement through maybe a food diary. Week 2, we talked about if that happened, how did it go? If it didn't happen, maybe some mindset tips to baby step in that direction, whether that was the idea of casting votes for your future self through your current present moment behaviors, or maybe making positive deposits towards that identity that you want to embody. So how did this week go for you? For me, I had ups and downs. It really helped that the weather was beautiful this week and I had sunshine every day. So it helped to get outside and take walks. And in general, when it's sunny outside, I find it easier to be sunnier in my disposition. I also had a return this week to a practice I've had in the past, but I had, for whatever reason, just not done recently, and that's long form journaling. So I know I've shown you like the little food journal, and I don't know if I told you about this, but I keep another daily journal for, I actually just write a couple sentences every day about what's going on with Corona and COVID, because I figure after all of this, it will be fascinating to look back and kind of see the timeline of that. I also like to do these monthly calendars where I have 3 or 4 goals that I track every day. And I also create a weekly plan for myself where I have kind of monthly goals, which are the same as these ones, and then like a weekly focus for the week. And I've also, over the years, whenever I'm doing like a structured workout plan, which previously has been other people programming for me and now will be me programming for myself and others, I take a lot of notes on my workouts about how different moves feel and how my body feels, and that kind of supplements along with like the food journaling, any pain or symptoms or good feelings, so that I know what's working and what maybe should be adjusted. So I do a lot of different journaling, but long form, just like stream of consciousness writing about my thoughts and feelings, I had not done for about a year at this point. I've done it off and on my whole life, but it made me wonder when I started doing it again and just felt really good within 3 days of consecutive practice. What are the health benefits of long form journaling like that? And sure enough, there are a lot. So I thought I would just give you a little overview today of some of those benefits, and specifically how it can impact our mental health and our physical health and help us manage our stress. And then if you want to like level up your journaling, if you add gratitude practice into it, that can be really amazing for your well-being and your quality of life day to day. And then I'll give you a couple of quick jumpstart journaling tips if you want to get started today. So, of course, we know that journaling in general can, actually, I don't know if you do know, so maybe I'll tell you in case you don't know, but journaling can really boost your mood and make you more aware and self-aware by noticing thought patterns, with whether they're good thought patterns, negative thought patterns, and then getting to the root of what those thoughts and feelings are. So there's a little bit, like as an overview, there's this idea that maybe the reason journaling is so effective is that it kind of combines right and left brain thinking. So the analytical, rational right brain has to kind of analyze and think in order to write. And while it's doing that, the left brain, that's more kind of the touchy-feely creative side, is freed up to explore and play, and that just leads to this sense of well-being over time, especially if it's practiced regularly. So like I said, some of the general benefits: it can help make us more aware and self-aware. It can help us kind of detect sneaky maladaptive patterns of thinking that maybe we weren't even aware of until we wrote them down and had a little bit of distance from them to analyze and look at. That can be really helpful. In so doing, that can help us shift from a more negative mindset to a more positive one, and help us manage our emotions and also manage our stress. Plus, it can ease symptoms of mental and physical health. So let's talk about mental health first. When it comes to depression, there's a lot of research showing that daily journal practicing can help people diagnosed with major depressive disorder to report significantly lower depression scores after 3 days of consecutive writing. So I'm literally, today is day 3 and I feel really good. And I don't actually usually struggle with depression, but I think even if your baseline is pretty even keel, you can get that benefit as well. For anxiety, I liked, there was a quote in the research that I found that said something like, writing and meditation allow me to slow down and watch my mind. And I often refer to like the hamster wheel of anxiety because I have a lot of anxious thinking, and I feel like I just get in these loops. And until I do something like slow myself down by taking pen to paper and only allowing my thoughts to go as quickly as my hand can go, I can just spin and spin and spin. But once I start writing them down, it slows me down. It's like, I also heard it called like mental windshield wipers, or like a mental toothbrushing, kind of like meditation can serve that purpose too. So it can be meditative. It can positively impact your anxiety through calming and clearing your mind, releasing pent-up feelings and everyday stress, helping you let go of negative thinking, exploring your experiences with anxiety, writing about your struggles and your successes, enhancing your self-awareness, and maybe teaching you about your triggers and what is hooking you into that hamster wheel, and even like tracking your progress over time, which is a lot of my other forms of journaling that I like to do. And it's interesting because there's some research regarding the anxiety that it actually can really help patients with MS. A lot of women in particular experience benefits, and that it can really help students in a classroom setting as well, which I've experienced as a teacher. So moving from mental benefits to physical illness, journaling has even been shown to have an impact on your physical well-being. So these ones I kind of knew in the back of my head, but I hadn't seen for a while. So journaling can actually strengthen the immune system. That can't hurt right now. Drop blood pressure. Makes sense. It's calming you down. You're processing. Probably your blood pressure is lowering, which in turn can help you sleep better and more deeply. And that generally helps with stress management and keeping you healthier overall. So this can decrease symptoms of various health conditions. It can enhance your cognitive function, shift your perspective, and reduce rumination and promote actual action. So there's a lot of ways, of course, to do journaling, and there's not really a right or a wrong way, but I do feel like what I've been doing the past 3 days is pretty different from these other little tracking mechanisms, because it's sitting down for a chunk of time and just kind of stream of consciousness, getting my thoughts and feelings down on paper. So that feels a little bit different to me. And some suggestions for how you might want to approach that is just to have like a journal set aside for that, a personalized, specific space, and have it be private to you. I've also had a lot of blogs and things over the years. I think when you're writing in a way that you know could be public, it really changes the nature of the writing. So for journaling, I think you want it to be pretty private for your eyes only. And you want to give yourself consecutive days of journaling to really reap the benefits. And also give yourself some time at the end of a session to really think about what you wrote, maybe read it back, maybe reflect on some of the things that came up for you and how that might impact your actions moving forward that day. Maybe reread the past week every so often, or at the end of the month, look back. I do with my monthly goals. At the end of each month, I kind of look and see how I did, and then I kind of journal reflect long form. So there's a lot of different ways that you can revisit it, but you should give yourself some mental space after is the point. Also, don't feel like there's a specific structure you have to follow. Just do what feels right in the moment. So let's say you are using it for mental health and you have some trauma that you want to work through. You don't have to force yourself to write about that trauma. You can write about whatever feels right in the moment, and over time it will lead to addressing those thoughts. Okay, one thing to maybe think about, I like acronyms. So you could think about the acronym WRITE, W-R-I-T-E. So for W, what do you want to write about? maybe think about that a little bit. What's going on in your life? What are your current thoughts and feelings? R would be for review or reflect on it. So kind of calm your breath, focus a little bit, maybe even do a little bit of meditation first. That's what I've been doing. I meditate for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then when I'm good and calmed down, I pick up my journal and I write whatever came up for me. Then when I'm done with that, I read what I wrote and kind of think about that. So altogether, it's maybe like a 20 to 30 minute process for me. I investigate your thoughts and feelings through your writing. That's just going to naturally happen, I think, if you take the time to sit down and write. T, time to ensure. So maybe set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you want. And then E, exit strategically and with introspection. So you might want to read over what you've written, take a moment to reflect, and you might even want to summarize in writing or just to yourself, as I read this, I notice X, or I'm aware of Y, or I feel like this. And that can just help clarify for you even more. I had mentioned also that you can level this up by incorporating gratitude into your journaling. I've been doing this actually for maybe 2 to 3 years now. I have a gratitude journal, and it's actually an app on my phone. I'll link to that as well in the notes below. It's called the 5-Minute Journal, and it's just a really good bookend to my day. In the morning, it has me set some goals. At night, it kind of asks me to reflect. I can put a picture in there. It's just, it really gets you thinking about what you have to be grateful for, and that makes you happier over time, research shows. Or sometimes if I don't have time for that, I just think through, but it, again, level up if you can write it down, the research shows, but sometimes I even just think about the acronym GLAD. So G is grateful. What am I grateful for? L, learn. What did I learn today? A is appreciate. So what did I appreciate? And D, delight. What delighted me today? And if I can think through those 4, what am I grateful for? G, what did I learn? L, what did I appreciate? A, and what delighted me? D, I usually feel pretty good after that 3 to 5 minute mental exercise, reflecting on my day. And when I write it down, even better. So the benefits of practicing gratitude are many. It can encourage it actually boosts your long-term well-being. It encourages exercise, interestingly. I don't know what the crossover there is, but that's interesting. Reduces physical pain and symptoms, and increases both length and quality of sleep. So I think especially that GLAD acronym, if you're laying in bed, struggling to fall asleep, racing thoughts maybe at the end of the day, and you do the GLAD acronym, you realize how much you have to be grateful for, how many little moments of goodness there were even during a difficult day. And I think that does bring down your blood pressure, calms your parasympathetic system, and helps you slip into sleep more easily and then stay asleep for longer. It can also help you make progress towards your goals because you're reflecting on them. And this last one I found really interesting. I feel like I've really experienced this in the past 2 to 3 years. My set point for this is pretty high, but I think it's gotten even higher since I started explicitly practicing gratitude through my gratitude journal. It makes you friendlier, more open, more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors, and it can, as a result, enhance and expand your social network. So all this research comes from positive psychology, which is a really fascinating branch of psychology if you want to research a little bit more. But yeah, I would recommend, if you want to jumpstart, try the 5-Minute Journal. There's a hard copy of it, or there's an app on the App Store, Android and iPhone. It might cost a few dollars, but I have to admit I think it was worth it for me because I've been using it for like 3 years and I've seen a lot of benefits. And then, or you could just do it, you could look and see what the questions are and do it yourself on your own notebook. I just like the structure. Or you could start using that GLAD acronym as a starting point. Or literally just set a timer and write about anything. You might even feel like you have nothing to write about at first, but things will come up as you begin to write. And the more that comes up, the more you're processing. The more you're processing, you're giving yourself that space. And it could be that you're processing about this new healthy lifestyle. You're processing about Corona and COVID. You're processing about your child and what they did today, or work stressors. It really doesn't matter. All of the research shows that no matter how you do it, what matters is that you do it and that you reflect on it, and that will lead to personal growth. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that is a little mindset tip that you might find fascinating. I'll link to the article below and the app and maybe a blog post that I wrote as well on this. So have a great week and think about, maybe write about, journal about what's going to be your next step in the direction towards becoming the person that you want to be. Take care.